Okay. All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and drop in, and I'll keep one eye open in the waiting room to see who else might come. But just taking a few moments here to land together. And letting yourself come into open attention, just a time of noticing. And as we intend to step inside this sacred space of our creation here together, just letting yourself maybe exhale anything that you want to leave outside this space and time, knowing that you can pick it up anytime you'd like, beyond, but to just give yourself this gift of this few hours to land and be here and explore. And noticing how your breath is moving through as with your body right now. Maybe noticing this continual rhythm of change that allows for your body's aliveness through exchange, taking in, letting go. And noticing the places you're feeling support. So maybe underneath your body, maybe behind, but those places of actual physical support. And seeing if you can let through these places of support, let Earth body really just have your mass, just surrendering your weight to actually receive the holding that's here. And now bringing a hand or hands to any place on your system, on your body that you might feel called to bring in some touch, to coming into just meeting your tissue. And as you meet, letting yourself have that sense of haptic touch with both being touched by your hands and your hands simultaneously receiving the part of you that's being touched. And seeing if you can let yourself be with the possibility of meeting this part of you as if it's the first time. Just feeling into what's here. And less of the story of what's here, but what's actually here in the meeting. Being in this practice of unknowing so that we can know ourselves in this moment. And if there's any sound that wants to come or any movement that starts to happen, you could just take the brakes off to that and let it. Hmm. 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 Letting your hands gently start to find their way maybe into your lap or someplace that's comfortable for you. If you want to keep them where they are, that's fine too. But letting go of that specific intention where you're touching and coming back into open attention, just feeling into the wholeness of you that's here now. And letting your eyes find their way to opening, maybe taking in some of this space that's around you and this place that's holding you right now. And bringing your eyes back towards the screen. And each other. I'm just getting a message here from Joyce who's trying to get in. So I will just send her the link again. Let's see. I don't know if I can do this, but I will try. And if I can't, we'll let it go. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Okay. I'm just gonna send this to her. Okay. All right. Gonna let that go then. If she comes, she comes. Alrighty. So I'm just removing the spotlight here, and we'll just have a moment to just land with each other, check in with each other, hear each other's voices into the space. So if there's anything from the landing or from any of the inquiries you've been playing with over the week that you want to name, this is a good time to put those in. And if it's just a hello so we can hear you, then that works too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I want to echo too some of that, the not only the gift in our Shulamit, sorry, the gift of unknowing and the possibility of unknowing, but also the fear that can be there in the unknowing, the terror in the unknowing. And also, you know, as someone who is not a Jew, my own relationship with that, if things are going well, and from my own life history of that, when is the other shoe going to drop, and just recognizing like all these flavors that we carry in us, all these layers of perspective, and some that it's all can all be a part of perpetuating patterns, and also like the compassion for all that is there, and it's work. We're being worked right now. I mean, probably always, but right now it feels especially true. Before I talk about anything else today, I just want to also name Louise into the space, who it's very late. She's still in Taiwan. So it's very late. She sent a note saying she would be with us with recording today. And also Jason, who has had some things happening in his life and has needed to be in recording with us as well. So I'm going to name those two into our space and into our shared field. And also Carrie, who's not officially all the way here, but going through her own stuff. And I had said I would just continue to name her in our space and holding. Okay. So in this this vein of being worked and unknowing, and I wanted to share, and I sent this in an email ahead of time, but I just wanted to share the screen for a second. And okay, can you all see the image on the screen right now? Okay, great. So this image comes from this book, Transfigurations by Alex Gray, and I think I sent that in email, but I can resend that in our follow-up. And this is a book that I've kind of been in and out of. It's got, just these incredible images all throughout. Alex Gray, I think, is really a visionary artist. Well, I think all artists are visionary. But it's his images have been weaving with me, the past number of months, really. And this one in particular, as I was opening to this idea of the series of unknowing, and part of what I was thinking about, feeling into, like something inside of me opening to, is this idea that it really takes a level of unknowing physically for us even to be born, for fertilization to even be able to happen. And I love his anatomical images in particular, just because I feel like there's so much spirit and interesting little small hidden things in them. But when we come into being, when the our zygote, so the fertilized egg comes into being, or even before that, actually, both the egg and the sperm that will become us, they're both destined to die if they stay in their own individuality, if they don't change, if they don't allow themselves to be penetrated in different ways. And this will happen, within minutes, within hours, potentially, depending. But it's through the coming together, it's through the fertilization that the egg and sperm are actually not only saved, but have this possibility to create a new life that neither could do on its own. A completely new organism is formed that has some of each, and yet is new, has its own potential beyond either of them by themselves. So I can just I'll leave this up here a little bit longer here. So part of what happens is the fluids in the female reproductive tract, they help prepare the sperm in a priming of sorts that's called let's see, it's I always mispronounce this word. It's capacitation, but it's a priming of sorts, and the female fluids actually help the sperm to be able to increase their motility But they also, in the female fluids, there's also something that depletes the cholesterol molecules that are embedded in the sperm head. And that helps to actually thin the membrane of the head of the sperm in a way, so break down part of the sperm in a way that then the lysosomal enzymes, the digestive part that's actually needed for the sperm to be able to penetrate the oocytes or the eggs exterior, can then more easily be released. So the sperm is actually worked by the female fluids in preparation in its sort of coming undoneness to prepare so that when it meets the female egg, that then the female egg has this aspect of coming undoneness as its layers are penetrated and changed. So part of what happens is if the sperm actually reaches the egg before this priming, this breaking down of its membrane happens, then it can't penetrate. It can't engage with the outer layers of the egg. And if the outer layers of the egg aren't engaged, then fertilization will not happen. So if they both don't have this undoing of sorts of their original form, then one, they'll both die, and two, they can't create. They can't come together. And both systems, both the female and the male systems, have things within them that help contribute to the change or the unknowing, the deathing of the form of the other. So it's outside in, inside out, essentially. And I'm thinking of this, if the egg can't be penetrated, if the sperm's membrane can't be reduced, and then there's no accessibility in the meeting, I'm thinking of this, in terms of ourselves and our own interactions in the world, individually, culturally, how if we don't allow for some aspect of that unknowing, how the opportunity can really be missed for what might be birthed between us, from us. And we have the perfect model for this inside of each of our bodies. At some level, on a cellular level, we know this. And so, again, both the sperm and the egg, they both have, in their individuality, they both have barriers to each other. In keeping just their individuality, they have these barriers to each other. And it's part of the self-preservation that keeps them to the point where they can engage. But then life says it's time. It's time to open. It's time to change. And the tools are already here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Both the sperm and the egg, they have to let go. They have to be willing to let go of who they are. And in a sense, they need to be able to unknow the deepest part of themselves. Because part of what happens is each of them, they each bring their own genetic material, their own DNA. It's housed in the nucleus. And actually, wait, let's just talk about that piece some more first. So we have fertilization, and then the sperm and the oocyte, they become the zygote. But what happens is that fertilization, it's not actually complete until the individual nuclei in both are able to to come together. And what happens is, in preparation for mitosis or the splitting, there first is this dissolution of each pronucleus. So each nucleus is actually broken down in preparation for the first mitosis or division. So the membranes have to be actually decondensed and expanded first. And then they can migrate towards each other, and their nuclear envelopes, they disintegrate. So what was holding them individual actually disintegrates. And then both the male and the female genetic material, it can then intermingle, but it can't happen without that disintegration at the core. It can't happen yet without that. But then eventually when it does, that's when this zygote being that has all the genetic instructions after its intermingling of its most intimate parts comes together. And this is what will develop into a new human, a new being. It can't happen without that disintegration of the membrane first, and a willingness to come together, whether conscious or unconscious, but I believe actually we're in every single cell of our bodies. And that love is in every single cell of the bodies, and that they already know. So again, this unknowing, this unarming, it has to take place even for us to be born. Our systems already know how to do this. Both the sperm and the egg have to come undone before life can be created. And both have to die to what they knew individually, maybe their function, if you just want to be in the physical aspect of it, the capsule of their individual beings. They have to come together. And so again, this being kind of this perfect teacher, this perfect metaphor for what needs to happen within us again and again, either in relationship to each other, even in relationship to ourselves. You know, we had that in our landing today. We practiced the meeting, the what happens, and I said, you know, approach as if this is the first time you've met this part of you. But actually, the truth is, it is the first time you've met this part of you in this space and time. It's already happening, but there's something in the acknowledgement that helps us be able to receive the wisdom. So just like the sperm, and actually just like the head of the sperm, and the sperm needs the priming, and then is able to release its enzymes to the egg's outer layer, that first outer membrane, and then being able to come into that inner membrane. Just like those digestive enzymes are needed and that priming is needed in the female secretions and fluids, we also have to be willing to let the enzymes of life, the rubbing of life, the call of life, to wear at some of our edges of preservation. We need to be able to let it in if we're going to be able to move forward. And I'm thinking, Carolyn, I'm even thinking of you, you know, with the first working out piece of the year. and that movement in your system, and how it's really like when the time was ripe and ready, then some of that movement, which is essentially a breaking down too of what was in terms of holding together, allows for an openness to new movement, new newness. Yeah. Um, yeah. I think the last thing I want to say is just the power, really, of allowing for the dissolution of what's keeping us apart, and how that can actually create a favorable environment for what could be birthed collectively. And that we can tune in, within ourselves to that original fertilizing sperm and that original egg that was our being. And perhaps we can remember how to die to our current form and how to change, and how through that, maybe that can help us meet some of the fear, because we know it's already happened and it will continue to happen. And that perhaps some brand new form of life is coming that none of us could imagine individually on our own, but collectively we have that genetic material, we have that collective memory to know. Okay, I'm going to stop the share. And if there's any questions, anything that wants to be voiced from your own experience, you could put that into this space. Otherwise, we'll move into a new dive today, which is inspired from this motif.
I'd like to share. I couldn't pay attention to what this meant for me. I'm going to have to go back because I was so taken by how it's paralleling something that I and others are now working on regarding Israel Palestine. I couldn't not think of that. And where I've said we need a new paradigm, and the new paradigm has to be one of releasing, you know. And so I mean it was so perfect. um I don't know whether the Muslims would go for the part of, I don't know, but some of it I think so. So I would, I don't know. Again, Corey, I think this is a TED Talk for the world.
Hmm.
I really do. I really do. I can't urge you strongly enough. This is what the world needs. And because I know you think more broadly than our individual selves and lives, and that it's all connected to everything. Just think about, I mean, what it would mean even in this country, you know. So it's essential work, and it's holy work. So I can't wait to go back and both hear it again and take it in, and and I know some of that's for sure been happening to me as I've been shifting, and I think the chances are there that everybody I've talked to is just so muddled and unable to move and feeling very stuck and frightened and confused and all of that. I just think this is essential medicine. So thank
Thank you, Joyce. Yeah. Shulamit, I hear you.
you for remembering that. That's so sweet.
Anything else wants to be voiced before I introduce Dive? Okay. Change this. So, my idea was to lead you through the dives. This is the first time we'll be with it today. I say that, and as I had mentioned before, my voice is a little challenged, but I think it's doing okay with fluids and things. So I think I'm going to give it a go here.